So we were in San Diego at the Community Transportation Association of America annual conference and expo just a couple months ago. And we had a couple preset interviews with public transit CEOs that we've already played on the air. And while we're there, Chris O'Keefe, my producer, he and I both produce a show together, he had an idea. Why don't we go around on the floor and just interview people, transit leaders that you know, et cetera. And I said, that's a great idea. I've kind of touched on that maybe in the past, but never did a whole episode on it. So that's what today is. I'm Paul Comfort. This is America's #1 public transportation podcast, Transit Unplugged. And today we're going to dive into roving reporter mode. I roam around the halls of the CTAA Expo. Scott Bogan's CTAA, he's the executive director, and I caught up with some incredible people in community and rural public transportation. By the way, I've been going to the CTAA Expo for 25 years off and on, and more than that, probably 35 years actually. I was a state delegate from Maryland when they used to have that to CTAA, and strongly believe in what they're doing. And so this is a great chance to catch up with people and learn, etc. I got to speak while we were there as well, and some great entertainment they had for us. So on our first guest, let's just dive into our first guest. I walked over to the booth of Mass Transit Magazine, our industry's top public transportation magazine. That and Metro Magazine are the two big ones. And I talked with Megan Perrero. She's the editor-in-chief of Mass Transit Magazine. She's also the board secretary for Latinos in Transit. And, we all know Mass Transit Magazine. Thankfully, I got on the cover one time, actually. It is a great magazine. Misha Wanek-Libman, the former longtime executive editor, left about a year or so ago, and Megan has picked up right where she left off and is taking it. She's doing a wonderful job, and I talked to her about what's next for the magazine, what are they doing, what are the hot topics. Take a listen to this one. All right, I'm playing roving reporter today at the CTAA Expo on the floor, and I'm with my friend Megan Perrero, who is the editor-in-chief of Mass Transit Magazine. Hey, by the way, you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're not only a printed magazine, now you have like a big online presence.
That's correct, yes. So we have a daily news website. Every day you come on there, you'll find brand new content. We have our daily newsletter, Monday through Friday, straight into your inbox, all the industry news you need right there, curated for you.
You all are the #1 source for news and information from a magazine perspective, I think, in the country, right?
I would agree with that statement.
And as we were talking about beforehand, you had big shoes to fill with Misha there. She was there for quite a while as editor, and you stepped in and kept it going.
Yeah, Misha really set us up for a great success. She really curated and built a brand that's known and seen across the industry, and I'm really excited to continue the legacy she built for us.
I post something about the transit industry every day on my LinkedIn, where I've got 26,000 followers, and I use Mass Transit daily updates at least once a week, because you've got the breaking news. What are you breaking now? Like, what are the hot stories in the industry right now?
So obviously we have the supply chain specific to bus and the North America market with the vendors and the OEMs. There's obviously in the spare parts, that's a huge thing. The other thing that I've been hearing a lot is about procurement and contracts, and specifically updating those terms and conditions to kind of better balance out the liability and the risk that comes with those types of really big years-long contracts.
What have you got in the future coming from Mass Transit that people want to know about?
Oh, that's a great question. Coming in the future, I think we're going to be doing a little bit more focus on paratransit. Obviously, technology is always something that we want to loop in. Our infrastructure technology podcast is actually really taken off, and we have some great conversations in there, really delving into the actual tools on the ground that are helping people do their day-to-day operations.
Where can people find that podcast?
Anywhere you stream your podcast. And also, if you come to our website, masstransitmag.com, just look up the infrastructure technology podcast. All the links are right there for you.
That's great. And the magazine is free, right?
Yep, 100% free.
Almost nothing's free anymore.
I know, right? It's a great deal. All you got to do is just send us your information, we verify you, and you're set.
The other thing I thought I should mention is you run a program every year called Top 40 Under 40, which has become kind of like, that's a big deal. I remember when I was in Baltimore as CEO, Kevin Quinn was my director of planning. And I remember he won it that year, and I got to present it to him in front of all the staff. We had it framed for him, that's a big deal. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's one of our flagship programs. Every year we get nearly 200 submissions of people wanting to have that recognition. It warms my heart reading all the applications and just the pure passion and dedication that these young people bring to our industry. And I think we're close to a good couple hundred nominees from our past that have been honored with that award. I see people on LinkedIn, they keep that in their bio. There's a lot of pride in having this recognition. And I take a lot of pride and respect in the effort that they bring to the table for us to recognize them.
Yeah, we did for a number of years. I've interviewed people after they win that award. It's so fun, isn't it, to see, they're not really young people, right? If they're 38 years old, but they're younger than me, and to see the passion they have. And a lot of them have gone on to top jobs in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really awesome to follow their trajectory, or I'll see them out on the show floor and I'm like, I know so much about you because I just read 2 years ago your whole bio. And it's a really good way to build a network and get to know the up and comers and just the really cool, innovative things that a lot of these agencies are doing.
Well, congratulations, Megan, on the great job you're doing. We wish you the very best at Mass Transit Magazine going forward.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it.
Up next, we met up with Rudy Salo. Rudy is a partner in infrastructure and transportation finance at a big law firm based in Los Angeles, Nixon Peabody, LLP. He's also a prolific writer, a speaker, an educator, and co-host of a great podcast called Good is in the Details podcast. Rudy actually came down and had lunch with us there at the conference, and Rudy talked about commuting as creative time, what we're losing in car culture, and Rudy's got a great background in public transportation, and he shares all that, and we talked to you a little bit about it in my interview. What is being taken away from us when we're driving in our car, stuck in traffic for 2 hours a day, going to work and back? I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about here.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What it is, Paul, and you and I are, I think, alike. It's a mindset shift. If you view the time that you're driving in a car as like, oh, this is great, it's my personal time, I can listen to the radio, I can do this, I can do that. Yeah, but you also need to drive safely, and you're a good citizen. You don't want to, take away. You can't really be looking at your phone. You can't be doing anything. You're driving. That's all what you're doing. That should be the only thing that you're doing. When you're riding public transit, what you're doing is you're delegating the driving to somebody else, and then you have that time back to yourself to do whatever you want.
That's right.
To read, to listen to a Transit Unplugged podcast.
Boom, baby. I didn't pay him for that either.
to write, everybody in the world, Paul, wants to write that book or write that script or do that thing that they've always wanted to do.
You wrote a script while riding the bus, right?
Several. I've written several scripts. I've written books. I've written, done the Forbes thing. If there's something in your mind that you want to do, the only thing that's stopping you is time. So what you got to do is think differently about how you commute, delegate the driving to somebody else, and take public transit and take your time back. I mean, the fact that we have smartphones these days and the amazing things that you can do on them, you can pretty much achieve anything that you want to achieve. And I mean that. It's not hyperbole. If you think a little bit differently about your time and how you're using it, there's no stopping you and what you can achieve.
Rudy, what do you think about the Olympics coming up to LA and the connection? Mayor Bass has suggested that she's working for a car-free as much as possible Olympics, a transit-first. That's what the folks at Metro told me. It's a transit-first Olympic. What are your thoughts on that? You have a lot of experience in transit there, both as a rider and as an observer, a writer about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that there's some unfortunate things. For example, in the city of Inglewood, where there's a number of stadiums now, there's the SoFi Stadium and the Intuit Dome. Unfortunately, there won't be any kind of connector that's going to be completely built that'll take you directly to the station. But there's going to be 2 transit stations that are going to be within a mile, and they're going to have like buses that'll shuttle you through. I use that when I go to the Rams games on Sunday. So I'm used to taking the bus to those stations. So I think people need to have their expectations of, yes, we'll be using public transit, but it's not just going to be trains. There will be some bus transfers. So just kind of, for the people internationally that are listening to the show, just realize there's a lot of places you're not going to be able to just take one piece of transportation to a particular stadium. Some stadiums will be fine. Some stadiums there'll be some trains right outside of it. If you go back and look at the history of the Olympics in Los Angeles, this is going to be our third. The 1984 Olympics was really interesting because what they did there when we had zero public transportation, that was the first time when they experimented with turning Olympic and Pico into one-way streets, and they plan on doing a little bit of that again this time around. They're going to be converting some streets to one-ways just for the Olympics. And it worked very, very well in 84. The 84 was one of the most successful Olympics ever. It was profitable. Things were able to move around very well. Yeah. So I'm really excited for the 2028 Olympics.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we recently, as you know, did a show in LA, Transit Unplugged TV, where we talked to Conan, the COO, and a bunch of their staff about how they're getting ready for that. So it is a hot topic. And Anything else that you'd like to share with us about what's going on in your world of public transportation?
Really, really excited for the new station that's going to be opening up right outside of LAX airport.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to connect the K line to the E line, and it's going to be. I'm very, very excited. That's when I plan to start using public transportation again. When my system, because I live in the South Bay of Los Angeles, gets reconnected back to the rest of the system. So I'm looking forward to the future of public transportation in Los Angeles too.
Very good. Well, thanks for being on the show today. Again, you're one of our few second-time guests.
It's an honor. It really, really is an honor. Thank you very much.
Up next, after Rudy, who I always enjoy talking to, you might remember, by the way, Rudy was our futurist guest on the December 31st episode of 2024 as we headed into this year, and did a great job. I may have him back again next year because he's always got his finger on the pulse of what's happening, in the future. But next we caught up to somebody from Maryland, my home state. I saw Maximilian Dover there, and I asked him, hey man, what's going on in Prince George's County, Maryland? You may know Prince George's County is right next to Washington, D.C. And I used to work in the county when I was helping manage paratransit service for Washington Metro, Metro Access. It serves Prince George's County as well as some other jurisdictions there. And he is the Transit Operations Manager for paratransit and microtransit in Prince George's County, Maryland. He oversees a fleet of 50 vehicles, including a mix of electric, gas, and propane. And we talked about zero-emission goals with real-world needs in a county like there, especially rural areas of the county, and why fare-free service can be both a blessing and a challenge. So great to have somebody from Maryland there. I actually lived in Prince George's County back when I was a kid, real young. When we first moved up here from Virginia, where I was born, I lived in a community called Kettering there. If you're from the area, you'll know it. But let's dive in and see what Maximilian has to say. All right, we're walking outside of the main hotel in San Diego, and I happened to run into a friend of mine, Maximilian, who runs up the transit system in Prince George's County. So Maximilian, tell us, first off, give us kind of, you got a long title. I won't try to say it.
I'm the Transit Operations Manager for Prince George's County, Department of Public Works and Transportation Mobility.
I saw you out there. We just stepped aside from the bus show. They have a lot of buses here this year.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, were you able to look through them?
I'm almost done with it. I haven't gone through everything, but there are quite a bit of nice ones out there.
What do you think where do you think we're going now? Because the new administration of Washington has basically said, the secretary was at APTA when he said, look, we're not against battery electric. This is what I heard he said. Yeah. We're not against battery electric. We're just not for mandates. We're for local choice. I was just talking to a guy from Minnesota, and he said, we're all in on CNG, right? So compressed natural gas. You've got ideas going for propane. Some are low emission, some are no emission. Where do you think we're headed as an industry there?
I definitely think that the local operations should have a choice. Everybody says if you see one transit agency, you've seen one transit agency.
That's it. That's the great
So everybody only has the options that they need to do for their business. Yeah. In Prince George's County, we have a lot of rural areas, so sometimes battery electric isn't the best option. One trip could be 45 miles, and the range of 120 means you're going to be looking for a charger right away. So we need other options to make sure that we can do our trips.
So tell us about your system that serves that county.
On the paratransit side, on the mobility side, we have 50 vehicles, a mixture of different propulsions. We utilize it to provide microtransit service as well in designated areas. We do a lot of senior trips, dialysis, just taking care of our community and getting them where they need to go.
Do you do any fixed route?
Not on my side. I don't oversee any of the fixed route, but that is actually run by RATP Dev.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're my buds. So, I used to work at Washington Metro for MV.
Okay.
And I was in charge of the paratransit system, Metro Access, which actually serves some
Yes.
in your county. So how do you differentiate between who rides on Metro Access, and who rides on your paratransit service?
Well, Metro Access will take people across the county line. So we only service Prince George's County.
Okay.
That's one differentiator. And we are also fare-free. So people don't need to pay a fare when they ride with us. But we also do have limited hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're maxed out, I bet you, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Anything that's free, it's for me.
That's great. Thanks for being on the show, Max.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul.
From Maryland, we head to North Carolina. We're headed to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we talked to Ashley Carricker. I saw her outside, and we interviewed her right in front of the buses there. They had a great outdoor expo with, 50 different vehicles there, probably, from manufacturers. She's the Chief Financial Officer at Queen City Transit Solutions, and they're a company focused on something which has gotten really big post-pandemic, which is transit safety and equipment, especially bus driver barriers. You know that plastic wall thing there that keeps them from having somebody throw coffee in their face or whatever, which happened when I was CEO of MTA, and We eventually worked with the union to get that done. She's been in this role for almost 10 years. She's passionate about protecting frontline workers as a thoughtful, human-centered design. Back in the day, when I first introduced them, there wasn't universal acceptance of them in Baltimore. But now, the agencies I'm talking to say their unions want them, and they want to put them in too to keep their drivers safe. And so let's talk about that. All right, we're out here in the bus display area, and there are dozens of buses here, and I'm with Ashley Carricker from Queen City Transit Solutions. Ashley, you guys do the barriers, right?
That's correct. We do.
What's the story there?
So we are an engineering company, and when COVID hit, we worked with our local transportation agency, North Carolina Public Transportation Agency, to design, manufacture, assemble, and install driver barriers for safety, not only from COVID, but driver assault.
That's a big thing now, isn't it?
Yes, 75% of the agencies that were asked during the CTAA discussion panel said that 75% of those agencies found that driver barriers are protecting their drivers as well as taking out the assault aspect of driving in the operator position.
Yeah. I remember when I was CEO of MTA Baltimore, this was before the pandemic, people didn't want them.
No.
Some of our employees were like, oh, no, I'll be claustrophobic and all. Now, they're demanding them.
Yeah, so in Charlotte, we've had 3 operators killed, and it's all because of either driver rage, irritability, mental health issues. So if you can't get to a pilot in an airplane, why should you be able to get to an operator inside of a bus? They're here to provide service. They're not here to be putting themselves out to be attacked, to be spit on, to be harassed, and this provides at least a small level of protection or a divider between them and people that are oncoming on the bus that may have some ill intentions.
Yeah, every major transit system I'm aware of now is thinking about or doing this.
Yes, and we're hopeful that we'll also get a bullet-resistant barrier that we're coming out with, and just trying to provide the best operator solutions to at least have some type of protection between them and anyone that wants to do harm.
Great. Thank you. Great to hear from Ashley. You finally become back to Maryland, my home state, because I got to see another friend of mine there, John Dukalewski, who is the executive director of the Transportation Association of Maryland, or TAM. That's Maryland's statewide transit association. They represent over 130 organizations. My friend Jeff Barnett was the past chair of it. He told me John is just amazing, doing a wonderful job as executive director. And I know it because I've been to a couple of the conferences since he's been executive director, and they're fantastic. And that's what we talk about, their upcoming conference on Kent Island, which is in my home county, Queen Anne's County, and the big topics on their plate, like state and federal regulations and the march toward electrification. I really believe in state transit associations. As a matter of fact, this fall I'll be speaking at a couple of them, the Kentucky one, and I'll also be speaking at the Midwest Transit Association Conference this fall, which is in Kansas City. Last year I spoke at the Missouri one, and this is a larger one representing multiple states. Looking forward to seeing them there as well. And I used to be president of one. I was president of TAM. I was the second president of our association back in the 90s, and it's a great way for local, rural, suburban transit systems to interact with each other, to learn from one another. John heads up a great one here in Maryland. I'm with John Dukalewski, who is the head of Transportation Association of Maryland. Tell us a little about Transportation Association of Maryland.
So TAM is the statewide transit association for all of transit in Maryland. We have over 130 members representing every single transit agency, from Garrett in the Appalachians to the west, the town of Ocean City in the east, and every jurisdiction, county, and city in between, as well as over 50 nonprofit specialized transit providers.
That's great, man. When I was younger, I was very involved with TAM, as you know, and was president for a couple of years. But every year you guys, I've been coming for the last couple of years. I was out for a while, and then your conferences, though, man, John, you do a fantastic job setting them up. You've got a big one coming up. Tell us about it.
So October 7th to 9th at the Chesapeake Bay Beach Club. It's right there on Kent Island, right there with beautiful view of the Bay Bridge just as you pass over. We're going to have close to 300 attendees, over 40 exhibitors, 2.5 days of world-class sessions, networking, and transit. So hope everyone can make it.
That's great, man. Thanks for sharing with us about it. Any big hot topics in Maryland and transit?
It's definitely the regulatory environment. It's electric vehicles. It's figuring out what's coming next from our friends of the federal government. It's figuring out what the state's plans are for overall electrification.
Well, best wishes to you. I hope to see you at the conference this year.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that wraps up my roving reporter, first time ever on Transit Unplugged, tour of the CTAA Expo. A big thank you to all the guests and Scott Bogren and everyone at CTAA for putting on such a great event and for working with us. We did one of the interviews at a booth, at the TripSpark booth, and there was a DJ there, and they shut off the music for us for about 20 minutes while we did the interview. So we really appreciate them working with us on it. Hey, if you like what you heard today, make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're at. Just click subscribe, whatever your favorite platform is, whether it's Apple, Spotify, or now we have a hybrid version with some video on YouTube. And visit our website at transitunplugged.com to see it all. And if you want to see it once a week, kind of a wrap-up summary of everything we're doing, then sign up for our weekly newsletter. It comes out on Fridays, and you'll never miss what's going on our TV show, on live events we have coming up, on the podcast, and more. Final thoughts would be, I love the CTAA Expo. As I mentioned earlier, I've been going to their conferences for over 30 years now. CTAA represents small urban, rural, suburban, and tribal transit. They're very important to these agencies. As APTA represents the larger ones, CTAA represents the small urban ones to make sure that they get their specific needs. I love what kind of a quote that we all quote in the industry, which is, if you've seen one transit system, you've seen one transit system. They're all so different, right? They're from their funding sources to their organization, how they got started, whether city, county, agency, statewide agency, nonprofit. There's so many different ways that they're organized and how they operate and how they're funded that it's important for a conference like CTAA Expo to bring them all together where they can share best practices. I hope to see you at an upcoming conference as well.
Thanks for listening to Transit Unplugged. I'm executive producer Julie Gates, and this episode was created by host and producer Paul Comfort, producer Chris O'Keefe, associate producer Cindy Raskin, and podcast intern Des Gates. Transit Unplugged is being brought to you by Midaxo, passionate about moving the world's people. If you want to dive deeper behind the transit headlines and get boots on the ground intel on important updates like the Trump administration's transit priorities or how to get funding, check out Transit Unplugged Insider, our new YouTube show, where Paul and I take you inside today's hot topics. Paul knows what's going on in Washington, D.C. and has the inside scoop. He's taking a lot of meetings with a lot of people, and we want to make sure you know what's going on. You can watch and subscribe to Transit Unplugged Insider on the Transit Unplugged podcast page on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Transit Unplugged.